Welcome to 2021 on EMBN. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited about the year ahead. As you can see, we're out and about already. I'm going to begin things with something a little bit special. So, what a stunning looking bike. This is a custom build of Toby Pantlings and race cycles. Now, it's not just about the paint or lack of it, it's all the fine detail on this bike, such as the chain device, which doesn't come as stock, the cable routing, the 155mm cranks in there, e-bike specific from Hope, but a ton of other detail, which Toby's going to tell us about. So, Toby, talk us through the processing. You've got a very custom bike there, right?
Yeah. We wanted to do.
Bring to that place.
So we wanted to do something real special. So what we did, I started trying to strip it myself. Got the hump with that. So took it to a wheels, like alloys reconditioning place. They acid dipped the frame, so we knew the paint would go, but not damage the frame in any way. I then brought it home. I polished a few zones of the frame so we could get our decals on it. So what we did, polished it, put some die cuts on, then they stayed on, had it bead blasted to get this nice finish on it, peeled those decals off, and then we had it clear anodized, basically, leaving bead blasted, polished where the decals were, and it will never oxidize. Once it was sort of anodized, then all these welds started really popping. And it just looks, it's super easy to look after. You got a full custom bike there. It's the cost then just of that frame part alone. I guess it's a full strip down, right? For us to do it for someone would take a long time. It's full strip down the frame, everything out, bearings out because it's getting acid dipped. It is literally hand on the bare metal. When you take it to the bead blaster and the oxidizers, if there's any paint on it, he's like, nah, not having it. So it has to be perfect. Then it goes through that process and then it's rebuilding it all up from sort of a bare frame. Yeah. Rough cost for someone who wants to do this? Someone who wanted to do it, it's got to be, I love doing projects, so we'd always look after someone, but it's got to be $350 maybe. Right. Probably, yeah. It's a lot of time. But like I say, it is pretty special. Yeah, and it's timeless and it's never going to get tatty or really damaged. You know, there's a few places I've scuffed it, but you wouldn't even know it. Let's talk through it's a very custom bike. Let's start off with the wheels. Now, carbon wheels for the look of it. Yeah. Carbon, 30mm rims, just carbon, nice and stiff. Wanted to have a little play with them. Conveniently had them from a bike last season and they held up good, so thought put them on there and then just built up onto some trusty Hope hubs. Yeah. Now, I'm looking at these tyres. You've got pretty special set. It looks like you've got a light tyre at the front and a heavy tyre on the back, right? That's it, yeah. So if you can explain that. So something the WTB do, which is really cool, they do both carcasses, a light and a tough, and they also do a fast rolling and a high grip. So on the front, I tend to run a light, so a slightly lighter tyre, because you tend to be able to lift the front wheel up over stuff. You don't need as much punch resistance, but the high grip. And then on the rear, I tend to go for a tough carcass, and then the fast rolling, it just lasts that bit longer. Yeah, you haven't got the grip, but yeah, I like my brakes, so I tend to scrub up a few tyres. Yeah, so let's go straight into suspension then. Zeb up front, and then on the back, something pretty special. Yeah, so standard Zeb, pretty maxed out on the low speed compression, just with the e-bike, sort of the inertia of it kind of tipping onto the front. I find that just rides really well. Played around quite a lot with pressure and spacers, but got to a nice setting. And then on the back, I've worked really closely with the boys up at Mojo Rising to kind of build that shock to suit the way I ride. Hand-built shock really tuned for me. So, talk us through the brake setup we got there. So, brakes pretty important on an e-bike. Obviously gone big rotors front and rear. Big fan of ours is the V4, which their V4's got braided hoses. Not usually a fan of braided, but they sort of match the bike and they do feel really good. And then we're running Hope's e-bike specific pad, which is like a purple brake pad. Seems to work amazing, not burning through them too quick. On the front, I've got the vented rotor. That seems to, You know, a lot of people think of it to take heat away, which I think it definitely helps. But the big thing in the winter, I think it helps to dissipate sort of moisture off the pad, off the sort of braking surface. It can go in between the two rotors. Yeah, just been faultless, really. The pad still moves away enough, don't get any rubbing, even though it is a much wider rotor.
That's a nice little touch on the back there on that brake. What's going on there then?
So where we ride, there's a lot of sort of sand and gritty riding. So something we sort of played around with was you get a lot of muck and stuff sitting on the top of the caliper that just keeps feeding the pads with grit. So we put the little guard on the back. That just allows the muck and crap basically to sit on the top rather than keep feeding the pads. So it's just a little bit of bent metal over the pads, keeps them clean. And just, yeah, it seems that pads just last a lot longer.
Bosch come with 4 different displays. That's the Purion display, and it's normally located on the outside of the handlebar. Now that looks a far better place to have it.
Yeah, it usually sits up here. Chuck your bike upside down, you're going to smash it up, have a crash. It's super vulnerable. And to be honest with you, with Bosch's new eMTB, that's where I ride it all the time. So I'm not shifting up and down settings. The sort of eMTB mode does that for you. So a little bit of head scratching and just wanted to tidy everything up. So we just developed a little tweak, little Ace Bikes tweak that kind of puts the controller there, hardly touch it. I can still see my range, my speed, tidies up the cables. If it does get hit, it's designed so it can sort of move out the way. Doesn't move while riding. But if you have a crash, these are 100 quid a time and a faff to reroute. So we just tidied it all up and it does everything we want.
Nice little handguards there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hands warm.
Little bit, but well, soft Southerners, isn't it? Yeah, it basically where it keeps the brush off, but the big thing in the winter, it keeps your grips dry. So when you are brushing past things, keeps your grips dry, and what you find, you end up getting wet top of your arms rather than wet grips. And I do like to wear ride gloveless. So it is actually almost more for that. The other thing is if I travel anywhere with my bike, it does protect your brake levers. I've had it a few times where, you know, you've smashed your guards, but it's not the end of the day.
And you've got some super grippy little rental grips there.
Well bedded in Rentfuls. Yeah. Super sticky, just work for gloveless riding. Big fan.
So they come in 4 different compounds, right?
Yeah, this is the stickiest one, which some people touch my grips and like they're disgusting because they almost stick to your hands, but
they're your grips?
They're my grips, yeah.
You are, what are you, 5'8"?
About that, yeah, on a good day.
So you've got a size medium bike.
Yeah.
But I noticed you've got a different stem on there.
Yeah, so I like a longer bike. I've got shorter legs and a longer body. So I kind of sat on the large, but being an e-bike, the extra weight, it kind of took me for a bit of a ride, and I did find it hard to unweight the front end and actually get it onto the back wheel. So I went down to a medium, bike's still stable, but I did go up to a Bergtech 42.5mm stem just to give me the sort of, still the room.
Yeah, and what about the seat post? That looks like a super low profile
yeah,
post.
It's a one-up post. It's actually their original post, but the original one comes in a 170, which fits me perfectly. It's got a really small seal head, so it goes really low. And the actual sort of the seat clamp part up here by the saddle actually goes up into the saddle. So this post at 170 drop is the same length as like a Fox 150. So I actually get 20mm more drop in the same place. You can see it is slammed to the frame. It's as if it's custom made for me. Fits perfectly.
Cabling, that's the gear cabling down there. It looks a bit different to stock.
Yeah, so stock gear cabling on this bike comes out of a port here, which basically comes around there and then comes into your seat stay down here. Problem with that is it's fairly sort of direct, but it's the bottom of your frame. You're going to smash that cable up every time you go over a log, hit a rock, things like that. So what we do in-house, we drop all the motors and we basically make it nice and smooth round here, down the sides, protect it if need be, and then it just gives a really smooth arc. The new bikes have got an improved cable routing coming out the sides, like the back here, so it's not going to get hit off of things, but we still actually do find ourselves rerouting to get this super smooth curve. you know, it keeps good shifting. Another little thing on an e-bike, it's nice to have a drinks bottle on your bike. Once you put a shock on these bikes with a reservoir, you can't get your bottle in. Even side entry, it hits the reservoir. Worked out that the small fidlock that is just magnetic bottle fits perfectly. You do have to just lift the tail a little bit just to clear it, but that just, there's enough there to kind of wet your whistle out on a bike ride. Forgot to talk about the gears. We went single shift SRAM shifter down to a SRAM mech. E-bike specific chain, but we just went for a cheap SLX cassette. You do burn through them, but we have got the 46 sort of get out gear. Don't ever really feel I need much more. The bike wants to loop out if you go much sort of easier gearing than that.
Right, time then for a little bit of news. Well, it looks like Crank Brothers have just launched a great lineup of shoes. Now, this is to go alongside their amazing flat pedals and clip pedals that they do. So you've got clipless pedal shoes and flat pedal shoes. And I've been checking out the website, and I think that stamp lace model looks just the ticket if you're a flat pedal user. Big sticky soles, and they look great on and off the bike. So definitely be checking those out if you're in the market for some new shoes. And on Instagram, looks like 2018 World Downhill Champ Amaury Pirion has been riding his Commensal e-bike pretty hard, and it's great to see him back after that big injury he suffered with breaking his back and his collarbone. So getting that e-bike out, getting back up to speed, and I'm sure we're going to see some amazing stuff. Now, someone that is also coming back from injury quite a while ago is Paul Bass. Now, he's been riding the Scott e-mountain bikes. He had a big crash out at Rampage a few years back where he suffered a big spinal injury. So it's been a long road for him, and Scott have been on board to help him get back onto two wheels, and he's done just that. We've even seen him jump in his e-mountain bike. But the big news is with him that he's leaving Scott Bikes, and I'm sure we're going to see him back on board with another e-bike brand soon. Now, you viewers might be wondering where I've got this fresh new EMBN hoodie from. Well, it's from our shop, and there is so much in that shop. It's literally stacked to the roof full of merchandise. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, hats, jackets, you name it, it's in the EMBN shop, and it's a great way of supporting us here on the channel. All that money goes back in to producing content for you guys to watch. As always, we have a great week of content coming up for you guys here on EMBN, and kicking things off on Friday, Steve has got a great video coming up for you guys. He's taking the TQ motor up the 104 test track. Now, that should be an interesting one. That is a powerful unit, so I'm really interested to see the time that thing is going to smash up that hill in. Then on Sunday, we've got overgunned versus undergunned. Now, this is a video, a comparison between the Specialized Kenevo, the big travel downhill bike, versus the Levo SL, their lightweight, smaller motor, lighter bike. So see the difference in those bikes. And then on Monday, we've got a great video on how to buy the right size e-bike for you. Right, it's time for the comments and questions from all the latest videos that we've done here on EMBN. And recently we did a video about all the weird things that e-bikers get up to. Now, this has had some great feedback. We've got a good comment in here from Tony Butterworth. He says, yep, you can always spot an e-biker. They look like they're enjoying themselves. I can definitely agree with that one. I remember riding and pushing bikes up hills, sweating, sound like kind of an asthma attack climbing up those hills. Next comment is in from Muzzle Ray. He's saying, the Buddha described enlightenment as the end of suffering. Therefore, the E in eMTB is for enlightenment. That's a good way to look at it. I'm liking that one. This is Marcus Mattux. He's saying, haha, perfect sum up of e-bikes, 400% assistance equals 400% more fun. And I couldn't agree with you more. Great comment. Right, it's time for Tech of the Week, and we've got a great entry here from Paul from Essex on his Levo. He said he's made a neoprene battery jacket, which is made for under a tenner and increased his battery range by over 15%. He goes on to say, I've made a 10mm neoprene jacket to cover the down tube, which holds a 700 watt-hour battery, which is covered in black Fablon, and joined it with some gaffer tape. So far, I've only been out 4 times when the temperatures were approaching 0, but the results seem to show that the battery life is extended by 15% in the distance traveled. An additional advantage is that the Fablon is super slippery, so the worst of the mud doesn't stick onto it. So it makes cleaning up that little bit easier. But the increase in battery range, 15%. Now I know batteries like being a bit warmer, but 15%, that's pretty impressive. And if you can do that for under a tenner, I say good work. Right, it's time to go out and about all over the world to see where you guys have been riding your e-mountain bikes. And we've got some great entries in this week. And kicking things off, it's from the Hunter Chargers out in Australia. Now this is Mick, and he's in the Glenrock State Recreation Area with 22 riders. He says today's ride involved a lot of new faces and 22 riders. We now have a group of over 400 riders in the Hunter Valley area of New South Wales. A lot of people seeing the light coming across to e-mountain bikes. Now that is a huge group, 400 riders and 22 of you out on that group ride. Nice work. Next up, we've got Timothy here, and he's out for a ride with freeride legend Richie Schley. He's on his 2020 Fazari Wire Peak out in Laguna Beach, California. Looks like a great trail. He's out on a sunset ride with legend Richie Schley, getting some good shots, and that is a nice pick. Last up, we have Franzo. He's got his Moustache Samedi Game 6 2021 model, and he's out in Saragossa, Alicante in Spain. Now this is a great picture. He says he's learning to ride his new bike. Went to La Sierra Grossa, 161 meter high rocky elevation, located in the city of Alicante. It's a great area where he's learning to ride his new e-mountain bike, and he is definitely in love with that. Right by the Mediterranean Sea. Whew, lucky bugger. Right, it's time for my favourite part of the show, and it is the Bike Vault, and we have some amazing entries in this week. Don't forget, if you want to get any of your content featured here on eMBN, use the upload service, and that is the easiest way to get all those photos and videos in of your e-mountain bikes here to us on eMBN. Details for that are down in the description down below. Right, Bike Vault time, and kicking it off, we have this amazing picture in from Darren. He's on his Vitus E Escape. He's out in Wick Beach in the Vale of Glamorgan, out for a solo ride on my newly purchased e-mountain bike, and is converted within the first 10 minutes of his ride. Now that is an amazing shot, and I think we have got to give that one a super nice. Next up, we've got Dwayne here. He's on his 2020 Cube Stereo 140 out in Glenmore Reservoir in Calgary. He says testing out how well e-mountain bikes work on snow and ice, and they work amazingly, and I can vouch for that. I've been out and about for a bit of a play in the snow on mine, and they are great. And I think, again, that is a super nice shot. Nice one, Dwayne. Whoa, 2 e-mountain bikes here. I'm wondering how they balance those up on the benches. Can't really see any stands unless they've got some Steve Jones logs propping them up in the background, but a nice shot. This is Jamie on a high bike all mountain 3.0 in a Cube hybrid 140 out in Drumcarra Forest in Northern Ireland. Completed a 14-mile road trail ride together. This photo was taken down in the forest where they've just started building official trails for mountain bikers. A long time coming, she says. Now that is a great shot. I'm going to give that one a nice, but I'm going to give the Trail Network a super nice. It's coming there. It looks like a great spot. Whoa, a bit of Woburn dirt jump action here. Matt Jones's local spot. Big lips and the takeoffs in the background. Look how big that kicker is in the background. I wonder where you go from that. Anyway, this is Matthew on his 2021 Vitus E Summit. He's out in Woburn Bike Park, shaking down the new bike out on the bike park. 9 miles worth of slop and finishing with a personal uplift for me, back up the hill. He's done a few upgrades on this bike too. Nice looking bike that. Nice backdrop. I'm gonna give that one a nice. Whoa. Then we have Chris here. Looks like he's in the middle of nowhere on his Whyte E-160 RS. He's in Penifan, early morning ride at Penifan to catch the amazing sunrise, and I think you've done that perfectly. Looks great up there. I'd love to get up there for a ride. See lots of riders up and about, way up above the clouds, and that has got to be super nice. Now a bit of hardtail action going on from Andre. He's got a Japida Sirium e-bike version, and he's out in Budapest. So I don't think we get too many viewers out from Budapest. So great to see you. And he sent greetings from Budapest here. It's a nice shot, that. Nice bike and a nice shot. Then we have Gulfras. He's got his Trek Rail 7 up in Hopton Woods in Shropshire. Going back after a bad experience on the first time out. Weekend before, he just went for his ride and a young lad had come out and dislocated his shoulder as soon as he came out of the car park. So his ride was cut short after helping him out. That's good work, that, helping a fellow trail rider out. I like that. And for that, I think we're going to give you a super nice, and that is a super nice shot too. Whoa, blue sky, absolutely epic backdrop here. And I think that that tree or stick you're propping your e-bike up on is definitely e-bike rated. And this is Eric with his Canyon Spectral on 7.0 out in Santa Monica, USA. Mulholland Drive, where the stars live. And he's put a gold chain on his new purple whip. So keeping it all pimp up there. Got to do, I suppose, if you're hanging about where the stars live. That trail looks absolutely amazing. The blue sky looks absolutely mind-blowing. Here in the UK, it's raining, it's wet and it's cold. It's probably dark outside now. So that picture is really making me looking forward to the summer. So yeah, got to be a super nice. Right, the last shot of the bike vault is coming in from Phil. He's got his Commensal Power Meta Power SX and a Merida E-160 8000, and they're out in Grisdale Forest in the Lake District. Looks like an epic ride here. First proper ride in the mountains with my girlfriend Gosia. She's only been riding e-mountain bikes for 5 weeks, but she's rode a red trail and even took in some black runs along the way. Nice work. I think that is a great shot too. Sounds like an epic ride. And to finish a bike vault with another super nice. But who's going to be taking bike of the week? Well, it's time to go back through these entries. Whoa, we've got some great shots in this. And I think it could be our first shot from Darren with his Vitus E-Escape in Wick Beach in the Vale of Glamorgan. I think that's an epic shot of the bike. Nice angle, nice sky. It looks like you've been out for a great ride. Keep all those bikes coming. We love seeing them here on EMBN, and we will put them in the bike vault or where in the world. Keep them coming in using an uploader. That's it for this week's show. Let us know what you think about that bike that Steve's been checking out. It is definitely a looker. Give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to get involved in the comments box down below and give us a find and a follow on social media too. See you next week.